Wow, welcome audience, everyone who is viewing to our interview series. I am Keyanna Alexander, still here talking to the wonderful artists that make Occupy the Stage 22, the remix, the wonderful piece of collaborative art that it is. And I'm so excited to be speaking to these two particular artists. I will let them introduce themselves now.
Hi, everyone. I'm Efua Prince. I am the author of Waterbearers, the play we'll be talking about today.
And I am Robin Carmen Marshall, she, her, hers, and I am the director of this wonderful body of work.
I forgot my pronouns. She, her, hers.
Wonderful. Thank you so much both for making some time today to talk about Waterbearers and what this project means to you. So let's kind of dive into your personal backgrounds first. How did you get started in theater? Like how'd you start doing that?
Well, for me, it was a complete accident. Um, I'm an academic and I have a disciplined approach to writing. And so on Fridays, if no other day in the week, on Fridays, I'm going to be writing. And so I was supposed to be writing this scholarly piece that I was having brain, no, that nothing was coming. And I don't believe in writer's block. And so I'm like, you're going to write something. And then I thought, well, the only thing I have anything to say about is laundry. So I started writing and writing, and the writing, that was in 2016, and the writing never stopped. And the thing that I produced, it didn't fit neatly. It definitely wasn't the neat kind of academic writing that I generally write. So I sent it across campus to a colleague of mine who's in theater. And I said, well, if you have time, check this out. And she called me immediately. And she's like, I see this on the stage. And I was like, me too. And so that's how I kind of have stumbled into theater. I write across genres generally. But now I have another play I've written. And then I think there's one more like walking around in the back of my head right now. So apparently it's become a thing for me.
I love the phrase of a story walking around in the back of your head
Yeah.
because that so perfectly describes for a lot of writers, be that theater or prose, whatever have you. You keep revisiting it, like it walks away from you and then she'll walk back and then she walks away from you again. So I love to describe when you're mulling over an idea. Yeah, I got a story walking around back there.
Yeah, and it's not even like it's not mulling, it's just like it's insisting. It's like tapping me. It's like tapping me on the shoulder. It's like, write this down. Write this down.
Yeah. Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right, well, Miss Robin, how about you?
Okay, let me respond to that. That's how you know. That's how you know when it taps you on the shoulder.
Yeah,
That's how you know.
yeah.
Um, okay, I have been in theater, oh my goodness, since high school. I used to be on the stage and perform in high school. Um, what else? I think I my I first started out in like as an adult as a playwright, writing plays, and the same thing happened to me. I wrote this piece while I was pregnant with my youngest son. I was on bed rest, and these words started to come to me, and I wrote them down. But again, it wasn't packaged just like you. It wasn't packaged nice and neat. And so I took it to the minister of music at my church at the time, and he said, "This is something that we need to do." And then he helped me mold it, and that was my first play. Um, that one. And so I took that play, we did it at the church, and then we took it out into the community, and I made mistakes. And what I mean by that, financial mistakes, meaning I was producing, hoping to get my money back, and that didn't always happen. So my husband said, you know what, if this is where you're going, and if you keep writing these plays, then you need to go back to school for that. So I went back to school with the 3 kids now, and I just feel so blessed to be able to have been able to do that. But went back to school. I did technical theater. Then I finished that piece. Then I did acting, and then I got the master's in playwriting. So my passion is, though, bringing bodies of work to the stage, whether it's mine or somebody else's. But at this stage in my life, though, I get more joy out of bringing other people's works, to the stage. And I also teach theater. I teach theater arts at a high school, and just loving it, just loving it.
If I could say one thing to that, Robin, it reminded me the church.
Yeah.
Theater was always part of the church.
Yes.
And I had a pastor who was very, very involved and invested in theater productions. And I kind of forgot about that part of my life, but there was always some play or some production. And there was one we did like impromptu almost. We like called a meeting, and then whoever showed up, I wrote the play around whoever was in the room, and it was called The Harvest. And we produced that from start to finish in 2 weeks.
Wow.
So we would do things like that all the time. It was great fun.
That
yes.
kind of reminds me when I was in high school, our theater teacher was married to the local pastor. So this is like the perfect intersection of like church and theater. So much so that like if she was noticing, insert student name, we're going to make up a student. Oh, if little Johnny, he is so good and so ambitious and he just loves to perform and be on stage. We have a Christmas play coming up. Did you want to do it? And so and it just kept intersecting where sometimes the church volunteers would come help out on the high school shows, and then the high school students would come help out at the church productions. So absolutely that blend of those worlds aren't as separate as we might think they are.
True. It's true.
The church is like an incubator.
Yes.
Ooh, I love that.
That is so true.
That. Yes.
So true.
So let's transition a little bit and talk about Waterbearers. So just without any spoilers, we don't want to ruin the show for folks. But what is the show about, and why is it an important story to you?
I'm gonna defer first. I want to hear what Robin has to say.
No, you go first. Okay. Okay. We shared when was it? About 2 weeks ago, Efua? We shared, we spoke on the phone, and I was telling her that when I read it, I thought, well, first of all, I'm so connected to this piece because when I need some time away, like if I'm stressed or if I just need a moment, I will load up my car. Now, even though I already have a washing machine and dryer, but I'll load up my laundry and go to the laundromat, because when you're there, all you have to focus on is, when is my load stopping? And you're watching dryers. So you're like, now you're not putting in quarters. Now you're just using a card, so you're like, tapping it, and that's what you're doing. So the process of doing laundry calms me down. And and then the folding. So when I read this body of work and how how the playwright, I'm speaking that, how the playwright describes that process, I'm like, yeah, I know that. I know that piece. I know that, um, I, I was immediately drawn to it. And I really don't want to say much more than that because I don't want to spoil it for anyone. So yeah, it just seemed like it was something that was written that I had to be a part of. That's what I felt. And then and especially with like the like closing numbers. I mean, she has like these like songs, like that end. Like I think at one place, one actor says it. I mean, it does a song, and at the end, all sing this song, and it just ties it up, and it just, yeah. So just something that I had to be a part
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I'm glad you feel like you're a part of it, because that's kind of the way I thought about it. I was thinking specifically, I'm wearing my grandmother's ring because I'm
of.
like, come on, grandma. Whenever I want to bring my grandmother with me, I put the ring on. And so I was like, we got to go talk about laundry. And she's the inspiration. And the women of her generation in particular who were locked out, they were locked out of opportunities for education and opportunities for a wide range of employment options. They had to do a certain kind of work.
Yeah.
And so she went to take care of other people's homes, other people's children, other people's dirty clothes. Um, and she had to sometimes leave her own family and her own children and in the hands of other people while she went off to do this very humbling kind of work. But my grandmother was a very dignified woman. And I grew up in the household with her and watching her. And so it's really about the knowledge that she passed on and how that knowledge crosses generations.
Yeah.
And it's a work that we all have to confront. We all are like always constantly doing laundry. There's
Yes.
always a pile. I mean, like you get it in the machine before you can get it out and fold it and put away, there's another pile because
Absolutely.
it's constant work. And so I wanted to think, well, I just think about it. And the first time I sent it to my colleague, and she wanted to perform it as a reading. So she got students together and they did an excerpt of it, and she could see the humor in it, which I don't know if I was trying to be funny, but when those students were up there on the stage, I was like, that person's so crazy. And I was like, oh, that's me. Because it takes itself rather seriously sometimes. And it's fun.
Yes.
It's kind of it's funny to watch too in different moments. It's sad. It takes you through a range of emotions
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
that's really the nature of the work. So that's what it's about for me.
Yes,
I would
absolutely.
love to take this opportunity to share a laundry anecdote with the both of you. Because there's always that time in your childhood or as you're growing up where your mom kind of like says, come on, come with me into the laundry room. I'm no longer doing your laundry. It's about time you learn to do it yourself. And that was my first experience with this, what you're exactly saying, the work is never done. And I had this excuse me, and I had this conversation with her like, okay, cool, we're washing clothes. I understand this concept. But mama, we're wearing clothes right now. So what do we do with the clothes we're wearing if we're washing the clothes? Like we're already starting the pile as we're
Mhm.
washing the clothes. And that was exactly what you're describing, right? Like, oh, I'll never escape this.
There's no end.
Mm, mm, mm.
So that's what it is. It's like, but to me, I always saw the dignity in it. And like Robin, I get a lot of joy out of. There's almost no domestic chore that I enjoy. I hate dusting. I do not like vacuuming. I cannot stand mopping. There's almost no chore that I like. But laundry, for me, is different. And I'm not sure why.
Mm.
It's not laundry per se for me. I adore ironing clothes. Like,
Ironing is so wonderful.
and all of my old college like dormitory roommates can attest to this. Like on Sundays, I would pull out the board, I would pull out my iron, and I would say like, I'm ironing clothes this afternoon. If any of my roommates needed something ironed, bring it on out to the common area. We're ironing from like 3 to 6 today. Bring your laundry. And that was,
Wow.
for me, that was kind of like my act of service to my friends. But it was also selfish because that was my de-stressor at the time. I was like,
Exactly. Exactly.
how sharp can we make these creases?
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
It's true.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The other thing that I would love to just kind of touch on, and again, like if this is me asking for spoilers, just shut me down and say, no, Keyanna, we're not talking about it. But I would really love to touch on the musicality of the piece and how that helps with the storytelling.
Well, I grew up with my mother lived beside the family of Joneses, and they grew up together. There were 10 of them. And my mother kind of got subsumed into that family. And then we were born and we grew up together. And the Joneses are the most musical family. There was always music. I remember we would have Christmas parties and the Joneses would be there playing by ear songs on the piano and everyone singing. And they were just very musical. I cannot exactly carry a tune. And I did learn to play the piano because I can read music. I'm disciplined. So I learned to play the piano, not because I was so musical, but because I wanted to learn it. I loved it and I practiced a lot. But there's always a soundtrack. There's always music with almost everything that is creative in my mind. You know, there's always a song to it. And part of, even when I'm writing my academic work, I kind of hear the music in it. So that's what I'm looking for, not just the ideas. I'm looking, because the music to me, if you want to know something about a people, you need to know their music.
Yeah.
You got to listen to their music.
Yes.
And so there's always music.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. I know, like, while I, while I'm meeting with the actors and, we're talking about, I'm like, okay, so who sings? And they're like, of course, all of them sing. And some of the songs, you just take for granted that people know like all the songs that even though they may not know any of the songs that but you just assume that sometimes. And so, but as far as the rhythm, yes, there is a musicality in it. And it's almost like the musicality that you would hear if you were in like different times now, listening to people washing, whether if they were going up and down, if the water is sloshing a certain way, the rhythm of the washing machine, if you were using like the washboard, there's a rhythm. So you can hear that in this piece, in the way that it's written. And we just we've been working now since what about we've had two full rehearsals, and then we're having a rehearsal this week. So just hoping that when you hear this piece, that you also can hear the musicality as well.
I love both of your descriptions of how important the music is to this particular story and to theater in general. I have such distinct memories of the works and productions we did at North Carolina Central University. Shout out to all my HBCUs. Of
Yes.
even when it was a straight play, there was music. Even
Mm.
when it was all dialogue, there was always an insertion of, well, we're gonna sing this here, or we're gonna add drums here, because it's just as important to our storytelling, especially in the Black communities. The music is just
Yes.
as important as the dialogue when it comes
Yes.
to expressing what it is we're trying to get across.
Yes, absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
I say all that to say, oh, I can't wait to see Waterbearers. Oh,
Well,
so
good.
good. And we are coming up to the end of our time together. So I would love to ask you one last question in closing. What are you looking forward to for Occupy? It can be water bearer related or it could be something general. What are you looking forward to?
I want to see what people are doing. I want to see what these women have written. I want to see how it gets performed and embodied. I'm excited to see the new work.
Yeah. And the same for me, I mean, this has been the last 2 years in our world. People talk about being shut down and in a lot of cases not doing anything creative, but people have been creating and have, revisited works that they, like, Efua said, that they put aside and then they, have either picked back up. And, so I'm just excited to hear just like she said, what has been put out there, what's out there, and to just hear, you know, because I know like every play that I've heard since the pandemic, some of them have touched on it, or talked about it, but some of them have deliberately not. And so it's just going to be really, really interesting to see, what's out there. So I'm excited about that.
Oh, same. And I feel like there's such a wide spectrum of stories and opinions and perspectives for this
Mhm.
Occupy. So I can't wait to
Yes.
see the cornucopia of
Yes.
pieces. I
Yeah,
don't know why I did the grand arm gesture. I'm so sorry, everyone.
it's theater. You should be, yes.
Yes, yes. Thank you for validating that. Thank you.
Like,
And thank you both for your time and for talking to us a little bit about your process and about the work that you're doing. Thank you, audience, for joining us on this ride. We're doing interviews with artists throughout the day with all of the readings. So while those readings keep rolling out, we'll keep bringing you different artists. Okay, everyone, we'll continue to see you in the chat. See you next time.
Bye-bye.
hi.